This is Chip Maxwell, and you're listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. Jacob Orand returns to break down the complexities of Medicare's IRMAA penalties and how the SSA-44 form can help retirees push back on unexpected costs tied to a life-changing event. From sneaky Medicare Advantage fees to the IRS's 2-year income lookback, the team unpacks what proactive retirees need to know. Bonus, a few laughs about government bureaucracy and Ghostbusters along the way.
Joining us once again in the studio, our resident authority on all things Medicare and IRMAA, which is a fun topic to talk about, is none other than our one of our favorite financial advisors to have on the show, Jacob Orand. Jacob, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much.
So I hear it was a split decision on what we were going to talk about this morning. Is that right?
Yeah.
No trivia?
No trivia today. I thought I'd give you a little break.
All right. I'm off the hook.
Yeah. Well, this morning I wanted to talk about Form SSA 44. The name of that form is the Medicare Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount Life-Changing Event. Man, woof.
So let's talk about it for a moment. So basically what he's talking about is the penalties that you experience for being successful. You may have stepped into retirement and got quite the shock when you found out just how much your Medicare was, or if you'd already turned your Social Security on, you're thinking, why did my Social Security just get wiped out? What happened to 30% of my check? And unfortunately, nobody tells people, and we do, but not a lot of people warn people. It's a 2-year delay, so we'll get into that. So basically, whatever income amount you make, the government deems that you've made too much, about $103,000 currently for a single person. And if you go over that threshold and you are accessing Medicare, they want to charge you a little penalty. And there's 5 different lines.
5 different levels.
There's B and D, so technically there's up to 10 different little additional taxes that are going to kind of hit you from the side, right?
Even if you're on Medicare Advantage, B, D, Medicare Advantage, you can get hit with these penalties.
And that's where a lot of folks really get caught is the Medicare Advantage because like, I'm on that free plan. Well, I promise you, it is not free.
No.
And they're out-of-pocket exposure to the company and, of course, then the additional taxation. So great news is if it's a one-time event, with proper guidance, you can actually go and kind of argue, if you will, and get it moved away. You can get it removed. And actually, you can do this several times if you're really clever. But basically, So the form you're talking about, SSA 44, sorry. I got a lot to keep in my head, right? So this form is basically if you have a life-changing event.
That's right. And
retiring is a qualifying event.
Yeah, absolutely.
You lose a source of income. This is a qualifying event.
That's right. And as you already mentioned, they're going to use, it's not until 2 years after the life of changing event has already happened. Because the Social Security Administration is asking the IRS for your tax return from 2 years prior.
Well, now we know why. They have to go into a mountain in Pennsylvania, get on a bicycle and ride 6 months down into an old cave path, light a light up on a torch, and find your file. And they're using the Dewey-Dumont system, whatever we call the old Dewey Decimal system to pull out your file, right? I mean, I picture it if you've ever, going back to old movies I love. I think it was probably on 84, the original Ghostbusters, right? Yep. You see the lady going down there looking for the files, and here comes the Slimer. Ha-ha, IRMAA penalty for you.
Yes, that's right. So there are 8 different life-changing events. The first 3 that we're going to talk about today are really happen to a lot of folks. So those are going to be marriage, divorce or an annulment, and death of your spouse. Well, those are the top 3 that they're listed on the form, but they really all belong together.
So if we have a super high income earner, we can just have them get divorced and remarried each year?
One of my favorite tax strategies.
We have performed a wedding in our office.
We have.
So, I mean, we're not kidding here. This sometimes does come into the tax planning, right? So, all right. So marriage, divorce, change of income or loss of income, right?
Yep. So death of your spouse, work stoppage, work reduction. So that's a big one. A lot of people don't know that even if they go to take a part-time job afterwards, that's called a work reduction because you've reduced your salary.
Do they have any guidelines on how significant that reduction has to be, or is it just generalized?
So the deduction has to be, you just want to make sure you stay below those Medicare IRMAA lines. We'll talk about that on a later show. We'll actually talk about it on the class, is your modified adjusted gross income.
Okay. So my point is, I actually met with a client recently, and he told me that, well, I just file a reduction of hours each year. In other words, he's running his own business, and this is the 4th year in a row. And I'm like, well, maybe you're getting away with that, but I think that's kind of skirting the rules a little bit. So, because he's well over the income limit, but every year he just reduces how much work he does. Irony is, this person is an accountant, and that was his strategy. And I'm like, okay. But there are no definitive guidelines like you have to be but if you have a reduction in hours, that's basically what the statute says.
That's right. I would give you a word of advice to that CPA is to never try to mess with the Social Security Administration or the IRS.
Well, the clawback is pretty real, and if they consider, so just to understand, if you make a mistake, IRS penalties, you have to pay what you owe plus interest plus a 6% exercise tax or penalty. Right. But if they consider it fraudulent, in other words, you tried to defraud the government through your strategy, that jumps to 18%. I know this from personal pain. Many, many years ago, many of you heard this story, I was presented a Rolex watch at 19 years of age from the company I work for, the largest pizza chain out there, but it was from the company, not the franchisee I work for. Well, I didn't claim the watch. I was 19, and that was considered fraud in the IRS eyes. So I got whacked for more than the watch was worth many years later. But anyway, so yeah, you're right. Don't mess with the government and the IRS. But there are clear, defined rules that you can, especially if it's a one-time event, right?
Yep.
Unfortunately, we have people lose a spouse. That is going to punch a lot of people over the line, at least that initial year. If we sold a business, if we lost income, we retired, if we decide to go part-time, like you said, if you get married, divorced, or annulled, all those would qualify you. So there are reasonable things that can help. But they've got to know, and so many people don't know anything about this, right?
And they got to fill out the form. They have to contact Social Security Administration. It's a process.
Man, that's a lot to cover. So, and I think it's great because Jacob actually got into this because his parents experienced a life-changing event,
that's right? Yeah. No, my father had a stroke a few years back, and it fast-forwarded the retirement. They didn't think they were going to retire for another 5 to 10 years. And then overnight, just like that, they had to go on Medicare, Social Security, and they ran into these very issues.
Yeah, and it's a very real problem. And you think you're humming along, everything's good. And we always say it on the show, you don't know what you don't know. So we have a class that you have helped literally craft the content where you're going to basically cover how Medicare and the IRMAA penalties collide, right? Yeah. And not only that, though, in the class, you teach them how and why, what happens, but you teach them the strategies that we've talked about here, plus some additional strategies we use on our tax planning side, how to prevent future penalties. And I believe the statistic last time I looked, it was 75% of all senior citizens, if they live past age 85, will incur these penalties, right? So it's and I think there was 8.4 million people got what we call the IRMAA letter last November.
Yeah.
And we're scheduled to have over 9.5 million get it this year. So that's a lot of folks.
That is a lot of folks, yeah.
So when is this class?
Yeah, great question. So that is going to be Wednesday, June 11th, right here in the Midwest Learning Center at Retire Smart. It's going to start at 6:30. I'll be joined by our other certified financial planner, Alex Murray. We are both IRMAA certified planners as part of our designations as well.
Man, you guys do a great job with this class. It was really raving reviews from the last time. So if you want to get signed up for it, go to retiresmartnow.com, click up on the events page, and get registered. The room does fill up. You must register, or you can call the office here locally, 402-369-7777. So what else have we got to find out this week on Medicare? Are there any changes within the new big, beautiful bill that is stumbling and bumbling through Congress that might change some of the outcomes here? Are you aware of anything there?
Yeah, no, there could possibly, right? So we know that the big, beautiful bill is currently in the Senate. There's going to be a lot of negotiations that are happening. We might see where they don't inflate the IRMAA brackets, and they might stay stagnant, which will push even more folks into that bracket. There's a lot on the table right now.
And that has been proposed for many years now in the committees where they want to quickly raise that up. And the other thing is just talk about the inflation of those penalties, right? They go up more than twice CPI, twice normal inflation,
That's right? That's right. So not only do you have your Medicare Part B and D premiums go up every single year, but the penalties actually increase year over year, eating more into your Social Security.
And it's not fair. They don't inflate the brackets like they do other brackets. They charge you twice the rate of inflation taxation on the actual premium you pay. And this starts to, I mean, we've done the analysis. It's over $100,000 in additional taxation through retirement for a lot of retirees. So you're going to cover all this and so much more at the class. All right. So if you want to get registered for that class, get in there, get registered. We look forward to seeing you. We're out of time for this segment. Jacob, thanks for stopping in the studio.
Thanks, David.
Thank you for listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. If you want to learn how to generate lifetime income, reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, visit retiresmartpodcast.com. And make sure to subscribe to keep up with new episodes every week.